what's family, what's life, what's experience, what's my purpose? Like, do I have any purpose? I don't have any purpose. And I was really good at faking it. And I ended up talking to this one person who knew about these hard things going on. And that person, I owe a lot to that person. And like my family, that's what gets me the most emotional. Got me out of a time when there wasn't any time left. It got me to talk. It got me to move, to find more people that I was similar to, and to also just really understand why. All right, so before I get started here, I feel like I should explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, because I feel like there just needs to be a brutal truth to this type of content. What I'm doing is I'm gonna roll out a series of videos that explains who I am, how I've gotten to the point to where I am at today, who I'm helping, and why I'm even doing it, and why I'm even doing this series. So yeah, what am I doing? Right now, I'm about to shoot probably the most painful video I've ever done in my life. Not that it hurts me to shoot videos, pretty confident with that, but it's very painful for me to talk about this subject because it is the hardest point in my life, the toughest thing that I've ever been through. And here's the thing, I'm an entrepreneur, probably similar to you. Most people that watch my content are entrepreneurs, they're business owners that are running companies. And typically they're looking for ways to create content for their business. Well, that's exactly where my team comes in. Now, for me, I want to talk about the hardest point of my life because I just want to pull back the curtain, have you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, how I'm able to live in a pretty awesome place like this. This is not a green screen. This is my home, nice luxury condo here in Miami, Florida. I get to help some of the most incredible people in the world, people who are inspiring and educating people on a daily basis, people that really change people's lives. Everyone from millions and millions of followers, giant celebrities that we work with, to hundreds of thousands, and then of course the people who are just starting from scratch. And they're entrepreneurs, they're making their small impact in the world, but that could mean the world to someone. And we love helping those people out that are just starting as well, and everyone in between. So here we go. I want to tell you my most painful story, the hardest part of my life, what that meant to me, and how it got me to where I am today. And I feel like I need to sit down for this because this is going to be a good one. So I was doing a lot of drugs and drinking a lot of alcohol. Yep. And here's the thing is, like, I'm not the type of person that is buying drugs all the time, that's going out partying, drinking all the time, except during this phase I was. And it ultimately led to the worst experience of my life that ended up turning into, well, I don't want to spoil it, but here we go. The story begins when I was visiting a friend, and we decided to, we were drinking all day long, just being young and dumb, and we decided to basically take LSD trip and basically just take some acid. Might sound crazy to some, might sound like nothing to others, but it was my first time doing it, and I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. Like I said, I was already drinking all day long, and by the time, it was actually nighttime when we decided to take the LSD, and we decided to go up this hike at a nearby mountain. And so our plan was to, drunkenly go to the drug dealer's house, get this acid, take some, and then start hiking up the mountain, middle of the night, and then by the end of the night, we would see the sunrise, and it would be awesome, right? Sounds like a pretty cool story. Well, we did exactly that, went to the drug dealer's house, got the acid, but I remember it was kind of weird because the drug dealer ended up giving us a type of acid that was not like the tablet form as it typically is. It was actually like a liquid form of acid. Come to find out later that it wasn't even acid at all. It was this basically man-made, chemically produced off type of acid. I think it was called like T3I or something like that. I don't know, I did research on it one time. But here's the thing, a bunch of young kids taking some liquid acid, I guess, and hiking up a mountain. It's freezing cold outside, by the way. We're wearing like snow jackets and everything of the sort. Excuse the plane going by. But here we are, cruising up this mountain in the middle of the night, drunk. Slowly but surely, acid's starting to hit us. The trees start to look fuzzy, start like making jokes and like just giggling nonstop, that kind of thing. Again, like the story isn't just like totally bad, but it definitely gets there. And so we spend like the night hiking up this mountain. We finally get up to the very top where we're relaxing, and they have these like just giant rocks that we were laying on, and slowly but surely the sun started to come up. And the thing is, when that sun started to come up, everything went from like just absolutely amazing, like truly like, all-time high to, well, before I stray away from the all-time high, I mean, there was one pretty neat experience of like, I don't know how this happened, but I remember just looking at the group of people that we were with, maybe like 6 of us total, my friend and all of his friends. And I remember looking over at one of them and just, I don't even know how to truly explain it, but there was this like colorful circling wave around him, if you will. A circular, colorful wave around him. Come to find out, as I told this story to only one other person, is that I guess that's called an aura. Someone's like energy. And then I looked over, and by the way, his was like this like bluish color, and looked over to one of the girls that we were with. Hers was like a yellow. Looked at my buddy who I was visiting. His was maybe some type of green. And I kept on looking over, and everybody had these like circular like auras moving around on them. And again, I had no idea what the term aura was. I was just, blown away that energy, the visual energy, was even like visible at all. Sounds kind of epic, sounds kind of trippy. It absolutely was everything of the sort, and also just downright confusing as well. Again, I was hammered drunk, and I was also like tripping on acid. So yeah, my perception of things was just totally off anyways. Now, the sun starts to rise. I start seeing these auras for a little bit. I think it went away after a while, and then, the trees got fuzzier, animals started coming out. We start to just, we're tired as hell. We've been up all night long. And I'm just going to fast forward through the story of us just like joking around, and then ultimately cruising down the mountain, going back to my buddy's place, who didn't live far from the base of the mountain. So we just walked the whole way, walked all the way down. And that's when I started to like really get these deep internal thoughts of my friends, my family back home, the girlfriend that I had at the time. And I was just like in my head about all these things. I was like, I didn't tell anybody that I was doing this. I like, is this real? I couldn't really like figure out. I couldn't separate myself as I'm walking down this mountain. I couldn't separate, like, is this reality of me walking down? Is this a dream? Is this like a cartoon? Like what is real? And so here we are, just continuing to go down the mountain, very, very just confused. I get to the point where we're now off the mountain, going through the town right there. And so there I was at this like coffee shop, walking past the coffee shop, and I see this dog that's kind of like tied up outside. The owner must have been inside like getting coffee or something. And I realized that the dog was actually like strangling on its leash. And here I am, just completely the opposite of sober. And I see this dog struggling, this like beautiful yellow Labrador, completely strangling on itself, like gasping for air, like trying to get out of the collar and the leash tied around its neck. So of course I like go over to it. I kind of stray away from my friends and go over. I try to like help this dog. And my buddy that I was visiting comes up and he's like, "Hey Max, you gotta stop this. Like, if this guy comes out and sees like sees us like, just not sober, drunk as hell, tripping, like messing with his dog, he's gonna get the wrong idea. Like, we gotta go." And he had a point. I could not just stay around, but I wanted to help the dog, and I just felt completely separated, completely divided in my decision. I was like, do I help the dog? Do I go? Like, what do I do? So I ended up leaving, and that just ate at me. Like, it just hit my gut. I was like, basically like leaving a dog like strangling itself like on the side of the road. Pretty bad feeling, whether you're sober or not. And so we keep on walking down. Then I'm just like in my head even more about the dog, about my internal thoughts, questioning for the past like, hour plus at this point. And so we finally make it back. And here's the thing is like, I it's not like that story turned into it's not that that story was terrible in that moment. It was actually what happened after the fact. So I ended up going back to school at the time. I was in college, going to Florida State University, and I went back to school, and that's when things just started to seem off, which was unique because I was honestly doing very well, and before this whole like trip and everything, I was doing very well for myself. I was a part of executive boards for organizations. I was leading like big charities. I won this Zeta King title for a sorority at FSU. So, you know, like in many people's eyes, they thought that I was crushing it. And so when I went back to school, everybody like thought very highly of me. But there was a hard contrast to that, because when I went back to school after all of that, I was not okay at all. Still in my head about many, if not everything. It got really confusing, and things were just hard to piece together, especially when everybody thinks so highly of you. And but internally, I'm just like having the exact opposite thoughts, like doubting myself at every given moment, feeling extremely weak, physically, mentally. I remember just like being at lunch with people and like going to the sorority that I was like the Zeta King of, and I would like sit at lunch with all these people around, guys, girls, and I would just like look, like glance at things, like glance at people, and think about like how weird we look, how weird people act and live, and it started like these thoughts of just confusion. I would like even like look at my hands and I would be like, well, look how weird these are. Like nothing makes sense to me. Like why? How can I move my hands like this? How can I touch? How can I tell my hands to do this? How can I walk? How can I do anything? That might just sound absolutely crazy to you. Maybe relatable to some. But the point is I felt like absolute shit. I felt so confused, so weak, so tired all the time. And the worst part is I didn't really tell anybody except for one person. It got to the point where I was just like really like having a tough time with just life in general. And it's hard to just like talk about this, but you know, you just start thinking about like what is living, what's family, what's life, what's experience, what's my purpose? Like, do I have any purpose? I don't have any purpose. Like nothing matters. Like these are the thoughts that were running through my head. Contemplating death like too much, too often, and I was really good at faking it. I was really good at like making sure that image of everyone, or that everyone had of me, that like, you know, just crushing it, like exec boards for different organizations, social, in like economics classes, like doing fairly well, and like all these different areas. I didn't want that image to change at all, so I was very good at faking it to everyone. And oh my goodness. And I ended up talking to this one person who knew about these hard things going on. And that person, I owe a lot to that person. They encouraged me to like see professional help at the school. They encouraged me to just talk to another, like a third party person, someone who doesn't know me, like basically a therapist, to go just see like what it could do for me. It was my first time going to a therapist. So God bless, I hate crying. I went to the therapist and I basically was trying to figure out how I could make things better. The good thing was that the therapist did help, not much, but even just a little bit. And that little bit made all the difference. Yeah, that little bit like went just absolutely so far. And I only went to the therapist for maybe like a few months, 3 months, 4 months or so. Like I said, just like those tiny little improvements, just being able to talk to someone got me out of a time when there wasn't any time left. And so the confusing thoughts added up, like all those like little things that just don't seem like much added up so much. And like my family, that's what gets me the most emotional. They had no clue. They had no clue. But the good thing was that I was starting to figure it out. And I didn't have it figured out at all, but I was starting to. And just the fact that I saw a little bit of improvement gave me just that little bit more energy to try and do it again. Try to think about what I was doing, think about how I was thinking a little bit more. And so here's the thing is like that bit of energy ended up like just really going a long way, so much so that I just took it to the next level, and I honestly like just became like enthusiastic about the small improvement. And just using the word enthusiasm compared to that time is just so unfitting, but that the slight enthusiasm is what ultimately got me started. It got me out of bed. It got me to talk. It got me to move, to do the things that I enjoyed, to do things that I enjoyed with the people that I enjoyed, to find more people that I was similar to, and to also just really understand why. I can say those things confidently now. In the time, I was very, very just trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And so then I started doing one simple thing. Just take note of what I was thinking about, how I was thinking about it, and also my body language. Most people just think of one of those areas. You got to think about what you're thinking about, the beliefs that you have, how you're organizing those thoughts, and then also your physical space as well. And like what type of physical position you have for your body and for everything that you're doing. Does your body sit up straight? Are you moving in a confident way? Are you slouched? Are you just not even there at all? Are you stuck in your room? So that improvement, that slight thought of, okay, now I need to know what I'm thinking of, the beliefs that I have. I need to understand how I'm organizing these thoughts, and then also the physical position, like the physical presence that I have, then could lead me to that next step. And that next step led to another one. And that next step led to another one. And then all of a sudden, life started getting brighter. I became more confident. I started doing more for other people, not just myself. I started working, not just personally, but professionally, on helping other people. I started I started a whole new line of life that I somewhat imagined before, but truly put into practice thereafter. And that's when I started partnering up with more and more people of influence, people that are helping a massive amount of people. Of course, I'm helping people individually, but then I started helping influencers, started taking their influencing audience that they influence, and I started helping them so that they could help all these people. And then that grew to a bigger influencer, that grew to a bigger entrepreneur on top of that. And I just found myself really connecting well with these different entrepreneurs because I wasn't able to just focus on me and my simple thoughts and being like tied down. I was actually able to focus on something that was much bigger and something that ended up being like a compound effect for helping this person and every other person that they had as an audience. That ultimately grew into an agency that I worked hand in hand with me and just a few small amount of other people. And then I ended up building a team that became a media agency today, a media production team called the V Team. If you know us and if you've done your digging, maybe you even work with us and you're just finding this video and you're like, wow, this is the founder of the company. Yeah, what's up? And so then the team started to grow more and more. I started getting more creative people on deck because that was my background. That was my specialty, is being creative. I was a photographer, a videographer, hands-on for so long. Then I started to delegate. I started to build this team like massively. And now we run a very large team based here in the US and helping people all over the world, from New York, LA, Miami, like I am here, Europe, Australia, everywhere. And it just makes me so happy that it's about to say, and I guess it's true, is in a weird way that hard time of being at absolute rock bottom when life and purpose were totally confusing and just too hard to understand, let alone try to think about at all, ultimately becoming an incredible experience for myself, for our entire team, for every single person that we work with, including all the people that they affect as well. So that's where we are at right now today. We help entrepreneurs amplify their voices. These entrepreneurs are running businesses, making a product, a service to help other people. And we're helping these entrepreneurs amplify their voices to help so many more. And so that's where we're at. That's who I am. That's where I came from. That's what I'm doing now. In these next few videos, maybe I'll share more on what exactly I have planned for the future, the things that we're taking a look at, the things that we take very seriously. There's market trends. Gosh, crying just gets me, I guess. I never really cry, but things that we're taking close looks at, market trends, who we're partnering up with, how we can help you improve your video content, how we can help you improve your brand, or simply just become a better version of yourself. I'd love to share some of the tactics that I use, not just from a process of creating content, which will probably be the main focus of this channel. That will be the main focus. But secondary focuses including business tactics, what we're using, technology that we're using, apps that we're using, shortcuts, automations, delegations, how we're using different teams, how we're outsourcing to certain people for things like web design. Like our creative team, like video editors, graphic designers, social media managers, everyone that is in our team, we could do so much of this stuff like web design, but that's just outside of our realm, and we want to go to a specialist for that. So maybe I'll talk about some of those things as well. Now, I'm going to wrap this video up because I don't have all the time in the world to just tell you every bit right now, but I just want to say thank you for watching this video. My name is Maxwell. We have so much planned for this channel, pulling back the curtain, if you can't tell, to really show the business, show the personal life, and show how both of those can really come together to make a massive impact for you, for people that you work with, and people all across the world. So my name is Maxwell, coming at you from the V Team, coming at you from Miami, Florida, with a few tears rolling down my cheeks. I'll see you guys in the next video.